Yes, people, we are back live on the channel for a very, very eventful F1 Qatar Grand Prix review because today was hella eventful. Let's just say it as it is. There was drama all over. There was FIA mess ups. There was, you know, um, there was debris on the tracks. There was mess up by drivers. Um, they didn't have the race was pretty really eventful. Like you could talk about it all day and all night. Lewis Hamilton, when you know unfortunately had to go out the way he did. His penultimate race with Mercedes. Obviously, you got Max Verstappen winning the race. You got you got the penalties for Lando Norris. Penalties galore for a lot of players today, and the FIA have a lot in their hands and have to take it in tonight because they for me they're the reason why the races have been so that a lot of people are fucked up today. But yeah, joining me, Gustia King, how you guys doing? Pretty eventful race. Pretty eventful race today. I can't lie. Drama.
Yeah, I think that's an understatement. Eventful is a big understatement. Although I do think the first half of the race was a snooze fest. Not much action. Not a lot happened in it. Nothing really to take out of it. But those last 15 laps, my goodness, by every metric, racing to officiating, a lot to delve into. But eventually, push comes to shove. Just as we said yesterday after qualifying, when the dust is settled, one man stands tall above the rest, and there's a reason why he's a four-time world champion, because it was another masterclass from Max Verstappen. King, how about
Yeah,
you?
yeah. King, you as well, man. You say your bit.
Um, it was an interesting race. I had half my eye on it because obviously it was the same time as the Liverpool City game, so I was kind of back and forth. Yeah, I do agree with Augustia. The first half was kind of boring. It was kind of very similar simulation type, and I think there was a couple moves done in the first half, and then yeah, I just think. Well, we're gonna talk about it. The FIA, the debris, the different things that affected drivers in that race. I think Lando Norris was very unlucky with his penalty. But yeah, we'll discuss that and much more. And I think, it leads to the constructors going down to the last race, which I didn't expect. I didn't expect halfway through the race. I thought it was game over. The way it was looking, and yeah, miracles happened. Uh, some cars lost, some cars won, and yeah, so it was a very interesting race to say indeed, and one that will be talked about for a long time.
I hear that completely. Where should we start? I mean, we could start anywhere because obviously, let's actually start by congratulating Max Verstappen on the win first and foremost. To be honest, because you always got to top of the race winner first. You gotta give your props to Max Verstappen. The week after, he just won his what is his fourth championship on the bounce.
Mm-hmm.
He's just gone and done. He's just gonna won a race a week later. He's on a high right now, and he's gonna end the season quite strongly, and rightly so because after you win your championship, your momentum is high, and with two races to go, you want to end it off on a high. So yeah, let's start by giving our props to Max Verstappen, and let's talk about the race because the drivers for me, Max Verstappen himself in particular, he conducted himself very well. Started off with a penalty grid with a one place penalty grid, didn't bother him, did his job, didn't lose a place, did what he could, did what he had to do, and yeah, the best that's the best he's done, and for me, it's one of his best races this year. Personally, for me, it has to be because he didn't even lose a place, lost it on the penalty grid, and won the race. So yeah, you guys have your say on this one because obviously that's what we have to start off with today.
Yeah, I mean, again, I'll just echo everything you said there. Max Verstappen in a league of his own. I think, again, looking at the RB20, you put any of the 19 drivers in that car, nobody can extract even 50% of the output that Max has. I think only today, Max Verstappen is the only driver that can win in that machinery. So kudos to him. And you made a very good point here about maturity, Akevin. In the past few seasons, we've seen Max. He gets very agitated easily. You've seen it wheel to wheel, whether it's with Lewis Hamilton, for example, even Charles Leclerc, or Lando Norris at times. But across the season, he has been the single reason, the single force that has unified and carried his team out of that horrendous slump that they've been in. So kudos to Max. I think he really has debunked a lot of the criticism when it comes to maturity, composure, and also his confidence. I think, again, after qualifying, he was obviously surprised that the Red Bull finished on pole, because if we remember back to the sprint, it feels like an eternity ago, but it was just yesterday evening. Verstappen struggled to beat a Haas car, a Nico Hulkenberg Haas car in the sprint. He barely scraped a point in the sprint. So to take that sprint race and finish on pole, a pleasant surprise for sure, even though Red Bull did tweak the car in between. But still, after the pole, obviously he had that very unprecedented, uncharacteristic one-place grid penalty. Some would say harsh, because George Russell wasn't on a flying lap and there was no real impeding being done. Either way, coming into today, according to people close to the Max Verstappen, like Ted Kravitz or GP, his engineer, apparently Max was very amped up. He was fired up. He was emboldened. He's like, I'm going to right this wrong. I'm going to prove that it was unjust and put in a very unparalleled performance. And to say he did that, my goodness, he really delivered. To me, this was really like a Novak Djokovic-esque performance. Kevin, I know you'll appreciate that, because Djokovic and Verstappen recently quite resented, quite hated among the neutrals and the masses, just because they're better than the rest. And every time they find an injustice in their mind, what do? Instead of bitching and complaining and moaning about it, they twist it. And that's what a sign of a champion. That's what a champion does. Push comes to shove. When there is adversity, instead of folding, you fold the pressure. So credit to Max. I think, again, this season, he has been in a league of his own. And heading into next season, he presents himself as one of the most complete drivers in F1 history. And to me, without a shadow of a doubt, I would put him top 5.
Yeah, interesting, because top 5 all time. It's a bold claim, but yeah, I mean, he's definitely up there now with obviously his titles, and the way he won the race as well. You got to give props to him. King, is down to you now, bro. You can have your say on this, because for me, it was a total dominance by Verstappen.
There's a lot to unpack. I don't think it was complete dominance in terms of the performance. I think it was a great race. I think he was very fortunate that Lando got the penalty that he did at the end of the race. But in regards to him as a driver, for me, there's probably 2 other drivers that can extract everything out of a car any given moment, and that's, for me, that's Lewis Hamilton and Fernando Alonso. So I wouldn't agree that he's far been beyond greater than every driver on the grid. But he has shown this year that he can compete without the best machinery, which is something that I haven't seen him do up to this point. He's shown a maturity in terms of the way he drives. He's not as crashing as much. I think the respect that he has for Lando has allowed for a lot cleaner competition regardless. It's different compared to when he was driving up against Hamilton. It was like they were both on the edge of taking each other out permanently, and there was incidents in the last couple of seasons where it could have happened. So he's matured. He seems a lot more confident in himself, which is good. He seems a more assured driver, and yeah, top 5 of all time. I wouldn't say that, because there's a lot of great drivers when you look at Schumacher, Senna, Prost, guys like that. So I wouldn't say top 5, but in his current generation, he is the best. So out of the young crop of drivers, where you look at Russell, Sainz, Leclerc, Verstappen is this era's GOAT. Just like Hamilton was before that, just like Vettel was up there before that, just like Schumacher was up there before that. Verstappen is this era's greatest of all time. So it's very hard to like describe drivers from era to era, because this is a new era in terms of the way the cars are, the technology in the cars. So it would be very interesting to see if it would have been interesting to see some of the greats drive in these cars and how they would handle it, and vice versa. But it was another just great performance by Max. It is going to be a shame. I don't think he's going to be able to retain his title next season, because I don't think Red Bull have given him the car in the latter half of the season, and I think next season he's going to have too much competition, and it's going to be interesting to see Hamilton in a car competing with him yet again, and see how that competition works out. George looks to have a new level of confidence towards the end of the season as well. But yeah, Max, he is a great driver. He is this era's kind of GOAT. But yeah, top 5, I don't know about that, but he is he is one of the greats, and he's one of those guys that I've always questioned whether he is as great as people say he is, because there's still things I need to see from him, especially considering the questionable championships he's had in the past. But this season has changed my mind in the way I view Max as a driver. And I hope he can continue that. And if he can go again next season and win, then yeah, his greatness will continue. But we will see. We will see. It's been a great run for him. And yeah, this is his best season by a mile, and I've seen him do things that I didn't expect of him, which I think that puts you up into the upper echelon, alongside the Lewis Hamiltons, alongside the Schumachers, alongside those kind of greats. So long may it continue for him. And Red Bull have created another great driver alongside the likes of Vettel and stuff like that. So they have a knack for getting these young prodigies, and hopefully maybe. And I'm hoping that they don't find another one, because it's been it's been long against Red Bull in these recent years with Max at the level he is.
100%. Right, next, what we can talk about? The penalties. Let's talk about the penalties from each. Let's talk about the penalties from each driver today. So obviously, the big one being Lando Norris getting that 10 stop and go grid penalty. 10 stop and go penalty, and it was a mandatory pit stop as well. So he had to take one, and it costed him 10 seconds, which almost costed him a point. It almost costed him any points today. He kind of sort of brought it back a bit for McLaren, but finishing 10 might just have screwed him over today. He might have done himself some damage, and I think McLaren have a lot of work to do if they want to win this construct. I mean, they don't have a lot of work to do, but to go and seal that championship, they must not make the same errors next week. Otherwise, Ferrari might capitalize. Augusti, I'll go to you first.
Yeah, I think on to the point of penalties, very, very interesting. I think this is a theme that we've seen throughout the season, particularly since Abu Dhabi. But I don't think this is just a Formula One issue. I think this is an issue in the world of sports. Look at the Premier League, for example, with VAR. So much controversy week in and week out because the rules are so ambiguous. Referees don't know how to proportionately apply them. And then you look at the NBA, for example. Players don't really get much leeway and liberty to express themselves and use their bodies as much. It's really an archaic and artificial game. And you come to F1. Everywhere you look in the sporting world, either A, the rules are too ambiguous, or B, again, there is no inconsistencies and the rules are being applied disproportionately. So again, something in sport, we need to have more transparency across the board. And there needs to be more decisiveness from the very, very top. Now, when it comes to the FIA, I think we all know what we would say. We'd all agree in unanimity that what they did today was reprehensible. The fact that someone's mirror was on the floor, on the main overtaking straight for the large majority of the middle part of the race, that is reprehensible. That is farcical. That should not happen at all. The fact that it took them 5 extra laps to bring in a safety car, basically costing Lewis Hamilton's entire race, whether he would have done anything or not is irrelevant. But if he didn't have that incident, at least he would have had a chance to fairly fight for whatever position he was fighting for. And obviously Carlos Sainz with the puncture. So again, reprehensible and reckless. There is no excuse for that whatsoever. And then when it comes to the penalties, yeah, a lot of chaos there. What I'd say about Lando Norris's penalty, harsh for sure. It is harsh. He missed 2 double yellows that Max Verstappen somehow was able to even see in front of him, which is just insane. Insane acumen and ability for Max. But it is harsh. I mean, a 10-second stop and go for missing a double yellow that didn't really impact the outcome nor the battle between him and Max is very, very harsh. But unfortunately, rules are rules. And the FIA at that time did apply those rules correctly. So yeah, all in all, I think bottom line, there just needs to be more transparency and there needs to be less ambiguity in the entire sporting world, especially with the FIA. And you have to be a little bit more urgent. A little bit is an understatement. Where's the urgency? You've lost it completely. Need more urgency and less carelessness and recklessness.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of reckless mistakes, a lot of, it could have really costed him the entire. It could have on another day if Ferrari were within, if Ferrari had the ideal grid qualifying, it could have costed them maybe the points this week, because they're still ahead going into next week, and next week is massive for both drivers, so they have to be on their game. King, I'll let you continue from Augustia's point, and obviously continue from what I said as well.
I agree with a lot of it, to be honest. For me, first of all, it started with the grid penalty for Max. I think that was a bit harsh because I don't think it impacted in any way. So I think that was harsh to begin with. It is crazy that they allowed for debris to be on the race, and it impacted 2 drivers to the point where Hamilton didn't get points in this race, and also Carlos. And the thing about it is that with these points, because it's the second to last race, they may think it's insignificant, but the difference in points that these 2 drivers could get could be the difference in terms of like money for these teams, especially with Ferrari and McLaren. I think it's harsh for Hamilton, but it's even more harsh for the Ferraris, because imagine if Carlos gets a 4th position instead of a 6th. The extra points added on makes the last race even closer than it should be. But I think it was. I think a lot of drivers would feel harsh done by in that situation, because to get a puncture for something that should have been safety card straight away is frustrating. I would say also for Lando Norris, I don't think he deserved to get the 10-second stop and go. The fact of the matter is that he couldn't visibly see the flags. So if you can't visibly see those flags, then that must be a problem with the circuit itself if you're not visibly showing the drivers these flags. So if he missed them, he missed them. But if he can't even see them in the car, then why are they there? So for me, I think it's more of a job on the officials and FIA to actually make it more visible. And
do you know what it is? Sorry to interrupt. Yeah, just hold on to your point. Just hold on to your point for that one. Yeah, I think it's more to do with McLaren's team not alerting him about the safety flag. Sorry, about the safety car and the yellow flag, rather than him not being able to see it. So I put it on to I probably put the blame on McLaren in that sense, because for me, like, as a team, you guys should be communicating and alerting each other about this is happening, that's happening. The McLaren team should have told him right away, slow down. Should have told him right away, slow down. It doesn't matter about such and such. They should have been alerted about the safety flag before, or the yellow flag before Lando had sped up during it, and that's on McLaren's part. That's nothing to do with the FIA. Like, it's nothing to do with that he can't see the flag. Them lot should have told him that to slow down when the flags were raised. That's what I think, at least. But King, continue your point. I guess you also want to say something, and King, you can continue from what.
Say 2 things there. One, I think after the race on the Sky F1 show, they did clarify that the international broadcast didn't show the scene entirely, and it was apparent on Lando Norris's view and camera that the double yellows were waved. So he was able to see it, by the way. On the main broadcast, they didn't show that, but on his own camera, they did. So, yes, so Lando Norris did see it. But second, no, I do agree. I do want to add that also is one of the biggest differences between Max and everybody else. Eckerman is right. McLaren's engineers should have informed him because we had known the debris was there for a long time, for at least the whole lap. But what's funny is Red Bull's team and GP did not inform Max that there was a yellow being waved, double yellows being waved. But Max somehow, due to his experience and acumen and knowledge, lifted. So again, that just shows you the difference because Max's racing IQ is crazy. And when it came to Lando Norris, he did actually see it, but he just didn't lift. And unfortunately, yes, it is harsh. A 10-second stop and go penalty is ridiculously harsh, but that's what the rules state. And the FIA at that time, we have to be fair in our criticism. They did follow the rules correctly. And unfortunately, Lando Norris is victim to the law.
The only thing I would say is with that, if they did put out double yellows, did they actually inform either the race teams that was the case? Because normally there it comes up on the system. There's a system where they tell the actual team directors and then they tell the drivers.
It does, but also the FIA also screwed up big time today by not bringing out the safety car earlier as well.
So basically, they're punishing Lando Norris for the mistakes that they made, pretty much.
Yep,
in terms of
pretty
not
much
bringing out the
because
safety car.
because bro, the safety car didn't even come out quick enough. Carlos Sainz got hit by it. Carlos Sainz got done by it. Lewis Hamilton got done by it. George Russell also got done by it. There's a lot of players here, a lot of drivers today got completely done by the debris left lying there by the FIA. FIA should have sorted it out much earlier. The FIA have to pay for their own mistakes today, and I think any the penalties, cool. Lando Norris deserved his penalty, whether you like it or not. I think he deserved his penalty still, right? If he hadn't seen the flag, that's also on him, but also on McLaren. But the FIA should have taken more responsibility to slow down the cars while they were while the debris was lying on the floor, because that could have cost so many other races today. It could have costed even Charles Leclerc a second place finish. It could have costed Max Verstappen's race win. It could have costed a lot more, because you've seen Carlos Sainz. He went a lap, and luckily he made a lap by getting through the debris. Luckily he made it through, but still the FIA, man, I'm sorry, it's all on you today. Completely all on you today. Like, the way you guys handled the race today, unacceptable. Totally unacceptable. Like, because that could have cost, like I said, it could have costed more races for a lot of players. How many cars crashed out today? I think what, 5 cars crashed out today. 5 cars got eliminated today from today's race because of the FIA. They did not handle this properly. Although maybe you could say that the 5 cars that crashed out crashed into each other. But the way the FIA handled it was poor. Very, very poor today. I'm sorry. I just wanted to get that point across. Sorry, King.
No, can I just correct? So King and Eckerman, I just checked. The world feed actually showed the wrong lap. So what happened is Max Verstappen, actually, he didn't have a warning. He wasn't told that there were double yellows, but he still lifted without seeing the light. So again, Max could have easily been victim to, like you said, poor management from the FIA. Lando, on the other hand, he was told that there were double yellows, and he did see a light. So with Lando, everything was applied correctly. It's just unfortunate because it was really quick. So yeah, harsh, but with Lando, the penalty was deserved and applied correctly.
Okay. But yeah, no, for me, yeah, it is harsh because it's milliseconds thing. But I feel like when it comes to these things, the FIA need to be more diligent in the way they do it, because the issue is not so much the penalty, it's the safety aspect.
True.
How are you allowing for these things? Because sure, they only got punctured and that, but that puncture could have been they could have gone for a spin, they could have crashed into other cars. That could have been that could be the thing that could be the thing about Formula One is, and why these drivers are paid so much, is that they're risking their lives when they drive these cars. So for allowing that such a thing during the race and not actually stopping it sooner. I think the FIA needs to look into themselves and actually be a lot quicker in the way they act. And I've seen it over the last couple of years. They're very slow to react to things. And I feel like from racetrack to racetrack, it feels like they have different rules or different mindsets to the way they govern it. And there's not like one streamlined way or one streamlined rule for all tracks. Because I feel like track to track, I'm looking at different decisions being made for similar incidents. So for me, I think it's just a track record of the FIA not doing the right thing at the right time. But yeah, it's harsh on Lando. Overall, I would say it was a great race, but it was marred by the mistakes of the FIA, and it's something that needs to be looked into over the summer, because that could be the difference between Ferrari and McLaren's constructors championship. Those points that Sainz could get, because from 6th to 4th, that's maybe like an extra 5-6 points. That's a difference maker when how close the race is. Same with the Lando, him losing all those points to only get one. That's a big difference maker. So they need to be more clear with what they're doing and better at officiating the races and have a clear line of instructions when incidents happen, because can't be too slow. Because for me, it's more of a safety thing. You could have risked the life of a driver today because of the mistakes you made.
That's true.
Preach.
That's very, very true. It could have been very, very dangerous for all drivers. Like I said, it could have costed races, could have costed a lot of damage to cars, and it kind of did, but luckily not much. However, it did cost some races. It cost some of the drivers' races today. It costed the race for some drivers today. So yeah, any final points before we move on to the next topic?
No, I think King completely nailed it there. Eventually, the penalty to Lando was just. They just followed the rules, but the FIA have to be more urgent in their application. You cannot let debris like that sit for 4 laps, because, like King said, that could easily lead to a catastrophic incident. So I completely agree with King, and I hope someone at the FIA listened to what he just said, because very important.
Let's move on to a very, very sort of sad, a bit of a sad sort of race, or a bit of a sad ending for Lewis Hamilton, who unfortunately was done very, very dirty by Mercedes today, in my opinion. I think Mercedes, for me, costed him the race again, because the way he could have bowed out would have been much better if they had handled it better. Lewis Hamilton did not have to go out like that. He did not. If he asked to retire from the race, let him retire from the race rather than finish it off in a position that does not look like he wanted to finish it. The position he finished in, someone remind me where he finished, please. I can't remember. It's like 12?
12 outside the race.
There you go. If he wanted to retire from the race, you should have let him retire from the race. Don't let him go out in 12th like that. Like, for me, that's just poor management by Mercedes. And yeah, FIA also kind of screwed his race, because he had to do how many pit stops? 2 or 3 pit stops? Poor. Very, very poorly handled by the FIA today. But yeah, Augustia, since you're a massive Lewis Hamilton fan, I'll let you go first on this one.
I mean, yeah, Lewis Hamilton might have just spent the whole race in the pits, because he was there the whole time. Like, he could have just booked a parking ticket there and stayed there, because he would have been penalized for anything and everything. Yeah, no, I think with Lewis Hamilton, this is a very tragic ending to arguably the greatest driver and team partnership in history. I mean, what I'm about to say is a very skewed interpretation, but again, if you remove Michael Schumacher from Ferrari, they still are the leading constructor. If you remove Sebastian Vettel from Red Bull, they still have world titles. If you remove Senna, Prost from their respective teams, they still have titles. If you remove Lewis Hamilton from Mercedes, they have no constructors title. So really, Lewis Hamilton is Mercedes in a way, not just from a competitive standpoint, but a commercial standpoint. So for a man with 8 constructors titles, 7/8 drivers titles, for it to end like this, it's tragedy, because you can see the guy is clearly deflated. His confidence has completely been crushed. And the fact that in his final ever year, he is ending a qualifying, losing, I think, by 17-5, that's not on merit alone. Again, as a driver, you don't lose your ability in one day. So there is just a lack of confidence, lack of cohesion. And when it comes to Lewis Hamilton, yeah, I mean, if we thought that Eric Ten Hag's treatment of Cristiano Ronaldo was bad, which Ekevin, as you know, you are a Cristiano superfan, one of his biggest fans ever. No doubt about it. You are one of diehard fans of Cristiano. That was horrendous. No doubt about that. This is taking it to another level in a way, because the fact that Hamilton, who, yeah, sure, is a little bit of a sentimental guy occasionally, he can get caught up in action sometimes and uses sentiment over sense occasionally. But the fact that he wants to retire his car, dude, that is no. It is sad. So yeah, I mean, for Lewis Hamilton, I think looking to Ferrari, he certainly hasn't lost his ability, because we saw what he achieved last season. He was the only one that was really challenging the Red Bulls throughout the entire season. He nearly finished second ahead of Checo in one of the most dominant cars ever, the RB19. I think for Hamilton, next year, he's finally being fully backed by every metric. His foundation is being backed. Business deals are being promoted by the Ferrari board members. And he is really getting Prince treatment at Maranello, which is very good because he deserves it. The best driver and the best team ever. But what I think is going to happen next season is, even if Ferrari can compete, it's really going to be a season for Lewis Hamilton that's about regaining rhythm, regaining confidence, remembering who you are, because he still has that ability in him. And I think for that first half of next season, might be a bit of a struggle. Ekman, especially you as a Ferrari fan, I think it might be a struggle for Hamilton. Now, don't call him finished. I just think he needs to adjust to new settings. And after a very intense end of the season, I think Hamilton come in 2 years' time in 2026, when he finally has a say with the car, when he's finally acclimated to rigors in Italy and also the machinery. If Ferrari have the machinery, I see no reason why Lewis Hamilton can't turn a competitive car into a championship winning season. So yeah, I do think Lewis Hamilton will get his 8th, I would call it 9th, but his 8th title officially. But yeah, it is just a shame. I hope he can have a very good Abu Dhabi, because it seems like over the last 3 races, Mercedes are somewhat competitive. But at the end of the day, let's not let these past few weeks take away from what has been the most dominant, successful, and winningest pairing in motorsport history.
King?
I just think today was a day for him that was unlucky. It was unlucky in terms of when he pitted, then they put out the safety car, then he got the puncture. Then I just think there was a bunch of factors in the race that was out of his hand and out of his control that led to the race that he had today. I don't think it was based on his level of quality. I just think he got let down by. Sometimes you just need a bit of luck. Sometimes the luck was against you today. I think it was just because in terms of the quality, he wasn't quick enough. But in terms of race, I think he was up there. He was going good with that Mercedes car. I don't think they had the race pace like the McLarens or the Ferraris, but he was making movements upwards, and the situations of him pitting at the wrong time and the what's it called, the puncture, just led to him kind of feeling as though, yeah, I just want to finish this race, because everything seemed to be against him within the race, especially considering something like that where it's, yeah, just out of your control. In terms of his confidence, I think the comments he made about not being quick enough, I think he needs to regain some confidence in that aspect.
Mm-hmm.
But I have no doubt that next year with the Ferrari under Fred Vasseur alongside Charles, I think it'll be a breath of fresh air for him. And I think the biggest thing is I think sometimes you need change in order for you to improve, for you to take that next level, that next step. And I do believe that he has the potential to win one more title. I believe he's the greatest of all time. Some would say Schumacher, but I would say him. He has all the records to back it up. And I think on his day, he can be the best driver on that grid, even better than Max. Especially if he's in similar machinery. He's proven that he can beat him outright if he's got the car to back him and if he's got the team to back him. So for me, I think it's just going to be a redemption arc for him under Ferrari. And if they get him the right car in 2026, it's going to be a long season for everyone, because a confident Hamilton with the ability to create the car in his image in the red Ferrari, that's going to be something special to be behold. But yeah, it's a sad end to his time.
And with a very demanding Charles Leclerc, and with a very demanding teammate in Charles Leclerc as well.
Yeah.
It's going to be over for us. It's going to be over.
Yeah. The only thing about Charles, and that's that one thing he has to get better at, being more demanding in the race in terms of what he wants from his engineers. He's too nice at times.
Yes.
Being nice
his biggest issue.
Being nice fucks him over every fucking time. Every fucking time.
He's too nice. He's too much of a nice boy for his own good. That's the difference between him and Carlos for me. That's why I like Carlos better than him. And that's why I think Lewis will do a better job in Ferrari than him, because he ain't a nice... Or Lewis is a nice guy in general when it comes to racing.
But the thing is with Charles Leclerc, that he wants to win, though. You can't blame him. Though obviously, he's been screwed over many times by Ferrari in the past. So I understand his frustration completely. I'm on his side, by the way, because I understand Ferrari's team very, very well. I know I've been watching closely for like the past 2 years, 3 years, and knowing Ferrari after having one of the best cars on the grid, after having the strategy of the team that they had, right, screwing them over big time in that 2022 season. Yeah, I'm sorry, like, you have to understand Charles's frustration here. You just have to. He's been done dirty many times by Ferrari, just like Sebastian Vettel has. Just like Carlos Sainz has as well, has also been done dirty in the past. Kimi Räikkönen as well, possibly. He's also been kind of done dirty.
Mm-hmm.
Ferrari are a very, very one-sided team. They're always like, they're gonna focus on one driver, and then the next driver will be like, I'm sorry, we didn't do enough for you today. They're always guilty of everything, bro. They're always sort of guilty in a moment that they shouldn't be. If you get what I'm saying, like, if you because what I'm saying is they're always the ones to be looked at. They're always the ones to throw the blame at every time someone fucks up in a race, and that's true, because they have been in the past, many times. Ferrari are a top team, but they don't have they don't have a top group of people in charge. They're a top team by name, but the way they're being run, the way they're being controlled by teams, terrible. That's why I understand Charles's frustration, and that's why I agree. Being greedy, he should be. He has to be. If he wants Ferrari to do well next year with Lewis Hamilton and him, they both have to be greedy. Lewis Hamilton's a nice guy, but he's gonna have to be greedy with the Ferrari team. I think he's gonna have to change his personality and his approach when he joins a Ferrari, because this Ferrari team is not. It's way too stubborn for most drivers to take the seat.
I want to add. Well, do you want to add something, Agustia?
No, I was just gonna piggyback off everything you guys just said. I think he just has to be more assertive and authoritative. And again, this isn't us asking for Charles Leclerc to be a bad boy, and it's not unreasonable. Just look at every one of Carlos Sainz's wins since he's joined Ferrari: Silverstone, Singapore. These two victories in particular, the only reason Carlos Sainz won them was because he subverted the will of his engineers and trusted his own instincts. And Charles Leclerc has insane potential. Nobody would deny that. His raw talent, especially as a qualifier, is one of the best in modern history. So Charles, trust your instinct. If you have momentum, if you're in rhythm, do what you got to do. Do what makes you feel right, because that's a formula that has worked for Carlos Sainz. and that's a formula that you haven't tried, that would probably be better than sticking to the same thing. So sorry, King, go on.
Yeah, I don't agree that Ferrari is bad in the last 2 seasons. I think under Fred Vasseur, they've had a turnaround in the last 2 seasons in terms of the way they're managed. I think the last 2 seasons has been the Charles issue. The reason why I say that is what you said, Auguste, is being more assertive, being more demanding of his engineers and of his team. And when he needs something done, don't be asking questions like, "Oh, plan A, plan B, plan C." Know what plan you want to do in the race because you're the driver. That's your vehicle. That's your car. Don't allow for Carlos Sainz to run all over you, every time, not listening to team orders, and then you're just gonna complain about it. Beat him on the track if you need to. Do what you need to do in order to get the wins because Formula One isn't about being a nice guy. The last time Ferrari were dominant was because Michael Schumacher told everyone he wanted what he wanted, how he wanted the car to be, how he wanted the team to be, and he never said, "Oh no, no, no." He never said, "Yes, yes, yes, boss, yes, boss, I'll do this, boss." No, he said, "No, I want this, I want this, I want this," and he won 4 or 5 in a row. That's what it takes to be a world champion. And I think Charles needs to learn that because if you look at Max, if you look at Lewis, if you look at Alonso, if you look at Vettel, they all are demanding of their team, their engineers, and they say, if I don't like it, I'm not going to buy it. And that's what he needs to be. He needs to be more aggressive in terms of the way he acts when he's in the car because he's too soft. And being soft is going to allow for, and it's allowed in recent years for Verstappen to mess you about in the track, for Lando Norris to mess you about in the track, for Carlos, your own partner across the road, to mess you about in the track. Nah, you need to be aggressive, you need to be angry, and you need to want, not just want to win, you need to win. And in order for you to be a world champion, you got to have that dog in you. You got to have that fight in you. You got to have that Michael Jordan, Kobe mentality. I'm doing everything I need to do to win. And if you're against me, I'm going to ask you to be removed and ask for something new. Because if my engineer's messing up every time, get me a new engineer. If this guy's telling me this, but I know what's happening on the race and I know my tires are going, get me in box me right now. Don't be asking, "Oh, plan B, plan C." No, I want to go in now because I can see that my car's going, and that's what I like about Carlos. That's what I like about Lewis. That's what I like about Max.
And that's
Charles needs to do it more.
That's the point I made exactly about Ferrari. They don't have the team, like I said, in control to win you a constructors championship or to win you a single drivers championship, because like I've said many times, it's always the engineers. It's always plan B, plan C, box or not, and it's always like whenever the drivers want something, they think they're always right. When the drivers are seeing an issue, they're always trying to deny it and be like, "Nah, we'll stay out. We'll do this or that." Carlos Sainz nearly got what do you call, a penalty, or nearly costed his race last week because he had to go he was in the pit lane, and guess what happened? Ferrari denied his box. They denied it. They said he said box. Ferrari denied it. So being more demanding, you already have that in Charles Leclerc. You already have the greed. You already have the will to win. You already have that. He can challenge his team. He's willing to do that. It's about whether Lewis now can come in and now do it as well, because Lewis needs to be more demanding if he wants to win with Ferrari. Ferrari, as people have seen, Ferrari in the past few years, they have not looked good. They have not, as a team, as a collective, they have not been good. So this is where I think Lewis Hamilton needs to come in now and actually change up his approach, change his aggression, especially when joining a team like Ferrari, because this is a big team. No disrespect to Mercedes, no disrespect to anyone in Mercedes, yeah, whatever Mercedes has won. Ferrari in terms of a team size, like for example, they're Manchester United, right? They're massive. They're massive compared to Mercedes. And for me, look, if you're taking the next step, right? You have to be more demanding. You need to be more like, I want this, I want that, I want more from you. If you don't do it for me, you can leave. And King makes a good point, and I completely agree with him. And it's just what it is, because Ferrari had not done what they've been required to do, and what's required in the past few years when they've improved their car. They've got two good drivers, very very good promising drivers that can definitely win constructors championships and drivers championship in the future, whether it be this year, whether it be some other year. They've got the drivers. They just don't have the engineer and the team and the mindset, because they're always being like, you know what, we feel challenged, we're not going to listen to you. They always feel like they're the victim. The engineers always feel like they're the victims of it, and they are, because they're the ones screwing their own drivers over week in, week out. And when Charles Leclerc and Carlos Sainz do it, it's on them. This year the team has improved massively. However, in the past few years, they've not done that. They've not, and that's all I've got to say. Really, I guess you want to continue your point.
Yeah, I think again, I completely agree with everything both of you said. I would just go on to say, factoring that in, next season is the best time for Charles Leclerc to win a championship, because that Ferrari car next season is going to, as King said, under Vasseur, it has blossomed and developed. It has ascended up from top of the midfield to basically a contender, a strong contender. So kudos to them, of course. But yeah, again, next season for Charles, it is possibly his best ever time in Formula One to finally claim the silverware, because the Red Bull's on the decline. We will see what happens with McLaren. Like I said, historically, they tend to make gains towards the end of the season, but they seem to keep those gains at the start of the season. So the Ferrari is trending up. And under the assumption that they do lose next weekend, which, yes, of course, Ekevin, that will be heartbreaking for you, because you came so close to finally winning a Constructors for the first time in basically 2 decades. But the silver lining is you get more development time because you finish second, not first. So for Ferrari, all the eggs are in Charles Leclerc's basket next season, because the Red Bull is declining. That Red Bull car is on the down. McLaren, unknown quantity, should be a contender, but still unknown quantity. Mercedes, we don't know. Again, massive changes. Your core driver, your staple driver, the face of the franchise is gone. And your teammate next season, Charles Leclerc, sure, he may be the greatest driver of all time, but it'll take him time to adjust and acclimate. So Charles Leclerc next season, you have to find that blend of authoritarianism and balance in terms of trusting your engineers. Next season, it's showtime, it's go time. You got to win the championship, Charles Leclerc. It's a must.
Yep. I mean, you guys both said everything you have to say. I mean, really, because yeah, Charles Leclerc's the eggs in Charles Leclerc's basket. I wouldn't say it's mostly in Charles Leclerc's basket. I wouldn't say it's all in Charles Leclerc's basket. However, I would say that Lewis Hamilton also needs to take a bit of responsibility, because obviously Charles Leclerc is the more experienced Ferrari driver than Lewis Hamilton. I'm not saying Charles Leclerc is more of an experienced driver. No. What I'm trying to say is, as a Ferrari driver, Charles Leclerc is more experienced than Lewis Hamilton. He's been there longer. Lewis Hamilton is just joining. So Charles Leclerc has to take more responsibility than Lewis Hamilton. But for me, Lewis Hamilton also has to take a bit of responsibility now joining the team. Yes, it'll take a year to settle in. Yes, it'll take a while to get where they need to be. However, it's where I think Ferrari now needs to raise the fucking standards. This is where the standards of Ferrari need to go up and above, because it's not been there for years. Sebastian Vettel has been through a lot of shit with Ferrari. Who else? Kimi Raikkonen, maybe.
I mean, Ekevin, I just want to say, if raising the standards is the currency, if that's the facet that Ferrari have to improve on the most, you've struck jackpot, because there's no other driver in F1 history that has the standards of Lewis Hamilton.
Because he's arguably one of the greatest drivers of all time, so bring him in.
It's not even that. Lewis Hamilton was not born to compete. Ever since he stepped into Formula One, he was born to win. Everything else, as he has said, is failure. That's why, for him, yes, he has still performed well over these last 3 years. I think he has. He hasn't been given the machinery, and he has extracted more than it should have many a time, specifically last season. But even then, even though he finished close to that RB19 rocket ship, he was disappointed in himself. because he's not designed to have a good performance in a mediocre car. Lewis Hamilton is designed to be the greatest. So if you want standards, you're hitting jackpot next season because Lewis Hamilton is your man.
You hear that completely. Where should we go now to? Obviously, the topic is about Ferrari, and it's all left to play for in Abu Dhabi. Lando Norris, we've already spoken about. We've already spoken about McLaren. We've spoken about Lewis Hamilton, the way he's gone out. We'll talk about the penalties in the grid. We've spoken about the penalties already. FIA. What else do we really need to unfold? Let's kind of talk about next week, I guess. Sorry, what were you gonna say?
Can I just say about this race? I just want to say two things. Yes, there was a lot of controversy, but when there is chaos, there are also beneficiaries and people who exploit and capitalize it. Fernando Alonso, kudos to him. King made the point yesterday on the stream that Fernando Alonso was way out of position in a good way. The fact that he finished in Q3 and in the top 10 in an Aston Martin car that you can make the case this weekend, maybe the worst. So kudos to him. He finished, I think it was 7th, because he made a very shrewd and courageous tire swap during the safety car and changed to the mediums, and it worked out well. And also a shout out to Sauber, because they're the last team to get points this season, which means no team on the grid this season will have a dry season. Everybody got points, and nice to see Zhou Guan Yu get driver of the day before he leaves. Nice little touch, because he seems like a nice lad, and it's good for Asia and the Chinese market too.
He's retiring, isn't he?
I don't think he's retiring. I think he's very, very young, but I just think he's not being selected next year.
Fair. I mean, look, what else do we really need to talk about today?
I want to add one more thing in terms of drivers that overdid their welcome. Gasly, to get a P5, especially with the defense that he had on Sainz in a superior car, that was great watch. That was a great watch at the end. I thought maybe Sainz would have got him a couple times, but the defense was absolutely solid. And to be in that Alpine, and those points are probably the difference between his team getting 6th or 7th in terms of the actual standing. So that's a couple extra million in the kitty if they can hold on to that position next race.
I hear it. I mean, you guys don't have anything left to talk about today. I mean, let's talk about next week actually. Before we preview the final race and we give our final thoughts. All to play for in Abu Dhabi for Ferrari next week. They've caught life. They have. Because Lando Norris and Oscar Piastri screwed up today, big time. They really screwed up big time. We all thought it was going in the direction of McLaren, but Charles Leclerc got what, P2? That's great. That's like, that's kind of helped us a lot. Not massively, but it's cut the points deficit by 9. And to get maximum points next week, Ferrari going to need to do a 1 and 2. It's possible. It's very possible. It just depends on who has a better car going into next week. So that's what I think. Just, you guys want to get your quick thoughts for next week before we wrap up?
Yeah, I think, again, Ferrari did what we asked them to do. They damaged limitation beyond. It was very, very impressive. Again, this weekend, this race wasn't tailored towards them. It was expected to be a McLaren versus Mercedes shootout. You look at the circuit, you look at in terms of the setup of the car and downforce, it did favor a McLaren more than it did a Ferrari this weekend. And the fact that Ferrari outscored them, sure, a lot of it due to fortune and luck, but still, they did what they had to do. I think next weekend, it's going to be sure that the gap, I think, is 19, 21 points. So as King said before the show, McLaren are a step in front, but it is still not impossible to see Ferrari clinch the title because it's going to be very even next week. So yeah, I think it's going to be fun. Going to be an end of an era for several different teams, but all to play for. King?
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I still think McLaren have the edge. I'm more interested in the race for 6. I think Alpine and Haas, that race is going to be very interesting. Obviously, we've got a lot of drivers, ending their time in Formula One because obviously next season there's a lot of change in terms of driver lineups. The Alpine partnership is ending, the Ferrari partnership is ending. Who knows what's going to happen to Sergio? His second half of the season has shown maybe that he needs changing as well. It's going to be interesting to see what happens there. But yeah, it's gonna be a sad one for me because I like Carlos Sainz in the Ferrari. I think he's been a great driver, a great servant for the car. So it's gonna be a bittersweet moment to see him have his last race. And uh, did I expect Ferrari to have such a great season, have 5 race wins? Not really. At the start of the season, I thought it was going to be another Red Bull dominate year. And it's good to see the second half of the year where you see the likes of McLaren, Mercedes, and Ferrari actually fight the Red Bulls and even be better than the Red Bulls. So next season's going to be a fun one.
Any final thoughts for wrap it up?
I don't know if this is true, but apparently Max Verstappen was asked a question about George Russell after the race, and he basically criticized and insulted George Russell completely. Max Verstappen said that in front of the cameras, George Russell is a very nice guy, but behind the cameras, he's a dickhead, and I can't stand that. I can't stand that is verbatim what he said. Again, I don't know what the context is, but next season, guys, is looking really spicy because Max is already calling out George for his two-faced attitude. So looking forward to it here.
I wonder what he'll say about Charles Leclerc and Lewis Hamilton and Ferrari next year. God damn! Like his rear mirrors are gonna have fucking Ferrari cars right behind him, all over the year, man. All over next year, he's gonna his rear mirror, right? He's gonna have a Lando Norris right next to him. He's gonna have a Charles Leclerc and a Lewis Hamilton right behind him. I wonder how more frustrated he's gonna get, and how much more he's gonna cuss out the drivers, because he's the type of driver. He's the type of person to do that. He cussed out Lewis Hamilton live on radio before many times. He's done. He called him a fucking idiot live on radio. So don't be surprised, mate. Don't be surprised if next year he has a fucking mental breakdown during a race and just fucking decides to quit, because he's that type of guy. He's very he gets very heated in the moment. That's what I'll say. He's a winner, but he gets he gets very, very heated, and obviously the way he talks on the radio as well. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm sure you guys have heard it many times on the radio. Like he gets very, very heated, especially with his team, and obviously other drivers as well.
Yeah, it's not just him. Road rage is real when it comes to Formula One. They're driving at silly speed, so they're gonna get angry.
Yeah, 100%. Even so I saw you've been cussed out Lando Norris before. I don't remember, but I think this year
everybody who hasn't maxed out before. That's the better
way. literally. But yeah, let's before we close out, let's actually talk a bit about football today. A little bit of football. You guys want to do that? Or you just want to close out? We'll talk about it tomorrow. What do you want to do? Do you want to talk about football today?
I mean, if you want, yeah. I mean, quite an interesting day with action. Obviously, United with Amarin. One of our best performances in a long time. 4-0 FC, welcome back. Long time. We've missed you.
Nah, it wasn't 4-0 FC. It was 4-1, 4-1, 4-0, 5-1, all that shit.
But yeah, it's still very nice performance, very aggressive, very attacking. And then the Liverpool game, I mean, I'm sure we were all switching back and forth, but even then, especially the first quarter of the match, not the race. Well, first quarter of the match, one-way traffic. I don't think I've ever seen a Pep team be dominated the way they have for a long time.
I have.
But just in terms of the balance of the play, that was complete and utter domination in the first quarter of the match, and then the rest of it, Liverpool just weathered and control the storm. But yeah, I mean, I think for City, what is it? No wins in 7, the first time it's ever happened to them in over 20
San
years.
Marino had more wins than Man City in fucking November.
Yeah, exactly. But that's the first time it's happened to City since pre Abu Dhabi takeover, which is insane, even pre Thaksin as well. So, I mean, it is even pre Thaksin, who was the owner before Abu Dhabi for City. So it's been a long time since City have gone 7 winless and 6 losses in 7. First time in Pep's career as well. I don't know. Maybe the wheels are falling. I thought with the City team, even last season, I said it. I don't think the team was as good as people say it is. They don't really have the same depth as they did during the Centurions, and certainly not when they beat Liverpool in those seasons. And even just look at their midfield. There is no physicality there at all. You have Rico Lewis, Gundogan, Bernardo Silva. Sure, I mean, talented players technically, but where's the physicality? Of course, you're going to get outrun to people like Bissouma and Pape Sarr against Tottenham. So, yeah, I mean, when it comes to City, it just seems like the wheels are falling off. But at the end of the day, they still are, as a club, when you talk about staff, structure, state-of-the-art facilities, they still are one of one in this league, and you can't write them off. But this season, I think, yeah, it is looking like the Pep reign of dominance is petering out.
Yeah, no, I agree. Well, I don't think it's petering out per se. I think they're just having an off season because their squad is aging, and I think if you look at City, they just need a refresh. So, what happened?
Ekman's private message is going.
The way he said. It's just the way you said before Thaksin. I'm like, oh my god,
Kenya was nothing you said, by the way.
Well, peak Man City relegation days, bro. That was like just about when they came up as well.
Oh, that's time though.
And the time when they lost to Middlesbrough 9-1 as well.
Thomas Cook days when they had the rise for sale.
Bring them back.
Yeah, exactly.
Bring them back, man. Real talk. Bring them back, man. Bring them back. We need them. We need them back. We need them back.
I don't think they're gonna go back to that point. I just think they just need to. They need to buy it. They need to refresh the squad. Get rid of the boiler. Get rid of the older players. Gundogan wasn't really a great buy, and I think they just need to refresh in the team. They're one of the oldest squads, so it's a young man's game, and they got beat. So that's what I see. But and also I would say this: I think some of the older players are tired of Pep as well, because if you listen to the same man for 5-6 years, you get annoyed. He definitely has had some bust ups.
I don't think they're tired of Pep. I think it's just to do with that the City have too many inexperienced academy players in the starting 11 right now. Like for me, I don't understand the decision of Pep to bench to bench KDB, to bench Grealish, and to bench Gavardio in a game like this. Gavardio has been your best left back, right? He's been scoring goals, a few goals for City from left back. Grealish can be the creative player. Why are you playing Mateus Nunes over Grealish? I will not understand that. And why is KDB not starting ahead of Rico Lewis in midfield in a game like this? City looked a bit better when KDB came on, and when Grealish came on, they looked slightly better. I thought they had a few chances to score. KDB was 1-on-1 with the keeper. That's where I think Pep messed up, because I think Pep messed up with the lineup first. I think that's where Pep also messed up, and then you talk about like what you talk about where Liverpool scored their goals. The defense was, bro. Man City's defense today was absolutely shocking. Absolutely shocking. Ruben Diaz, yes, he's just come back. Akanji though, man, I'm sorry. Absolutely terrible. Like real talk, the Man City have been. I've never seen Man City like this, bro. I understand if you lost 3 games in a row, yeah, cool. But how have you not won a game in 7 matches? It's beyond a joke. 7 matches, bro. You still have Haaland in the lineup. You still have Bernardo Silva. You still have Phil Foden. What's happened to Phil Foden this season? What's actually happened to Phil Foden this season? Like the guy was arguably the best player in the Premier League last season. Real talk, I think he was the best player in the Premier League last season. You could argue whatever, but what's happened to him this season, man? He's just not that. He's just not that got the killer instinct this season. I think he'll turn things around. Surely he'll turn things around. He's Phil Foden. He'll definitely turn it around. But what happened to him this season, man? What do you guys think? Like before, let's just talk quickly before we wrap it up. I have Premier League review tomorrow anyway, so we'll talk more about this on tomorrow's show. But let's just talk about what happened to Phil Foden.
I think it also stems down to the fact that, look, Pep Guardiola, I rate him very highly. As a tactician, as a coach, you can make the case that he's the greatest of all time. Sure, he didn't invent, his own philosophy. He molded it from Rijkaard, Cruyff, and going back to Rinus Michels. But as a coach, he's amazing. But notice how I said coach and not manager. That's where I think he and Sir Alex Ferguson are separated. Sir Alex Ferguson, when the going got tough, when it was very rough, he took command and control of the situation. You see Pep for the first time in his City career. This is like a Red Bull-esque slump in a way. You can see the cracks in him. You can see how the overthinking is really getting to him. It is wearing him down. And I think that also rubs off on the players a little bit, like Phil Foden, who maybe is having a European hangover or whatever. But yeah, I mean, the drop-off of Phil Foden is unprecedented. It is unprecedented, but eventually, as a player, he is talented. So hopefully he does regain his rhythm and doesn't go the way of a Gascoigne, for example, and goes the way of someone like a Rooney or surpasses them. But no, I mean, I think it's also just coaching standards, and you can just see City being worn down. It is fatigue from all these years of unparalleled dominance.
Yeah, I hear that completely. King, final thoughts? Quick thoughts before we wrap it up.
No, I agree. I think they are tired of him because for me, the other thing that Sir Alex Ferguson was great at is he always refreshed his second in command as well, so that there's always a different voice in the changing room. So I think Pep needs to freshen up his backroom staff, freshen up his team. Because for me, the reason why I say it's the problem with the older players is because they've been here for 4 or 5 years of straight dominance, right? It gets to the point where they want something different. They want to hear something different. They want to see something different. So the best way it's best to replace a player now before they get to the point where they're over the hill, like a De Bruyne. They don't have a backup for Rodri, and a lot of their older players, I think, need to be moved on.
Sorry to interrupt you, yeah. If you want to cement yourself as one of the greatest Premier League players of all time, right? If you want to cement yourself within that bracket, yeah. You can't be people can't be like, you can't be saying, oh, they're bored of Pep's tactics, they're bored of this and they're bored of that. Sir Alex Ferguson was there for 26 years. He had players like Ryan Giggs, played there for a long time. Got Paul Scholes. Got players like Roy Keane. Got players like Wayne Rooney. Yes, he and Rooney had a few bust-ups here and there. So did Roy Keane. David Beckham came from the academy. You had a lot of players that were never bored of Sir Alex Ferguson. But he himself moved on because he thought was not good enough anymore, or did not want anymore because he didn't like their personality for the team. Sir Alex Ferguson knew when the player's time was up. Apart from when he let go of Paul Pogba and Yap Stam, that's when I thought, okay, maybe he made a mistake in that. But cool. When was the odd time Sir Alex Ferguson made a mistake by letting a player go? Not many. Pep Guardiola let go of Cole Palmer, who's absolutely killing it right now for Chelsea. Let go of Lavia, killing it right now for Chelsea. Who else? There's so many players that Man City have let go. And I think could do a job in this team right now. Lavia will do a job in this team. Palmer, easy job in the City team right now. Would absolutely do bits for Man City right now. Literally starts in that number 10 role right now for Man City. For me, Cole Palmer. Like, I think letting go of those players, even Jan Couto at right back. Kyle Walker's for me. Sorry, nah, it's finished. I think that's where you made a mistake. You let Jan Couto go to Dortmund. That's also another mistake that Man City made. Savinho, very good player. I rate him very highly. And you build around him. That's what you build around, in my opinion. But yeah, you guys got anything else to say before we wrap it up?
Yeah, in regards to the players they let go, you also have to understand that it's a different time period. So when Sir Alex Ferguson, he didn't have to deal with FFP and financial regulations and all these things. And nowadays, academy players are pure profit. So I don't think it's Pep's choice at times if a
You
player
make a
goes or not.
very, very good
I
point.
think it's a club thing. The academy players aren't there to be kept in the squad. Maybe one or two might come through, but a majority of them are going to get sold for profit because that's the best way to make money.
And also they made like what 500 million from their academy as well. So
Yeah.
that was pure profit by Man City,
Yeah.
but the Chargers are still looming.
Yeah, so
But I don't think City
maybe
will
the Cole Palmer one is a bit of a stretch because you never expect someone like that to get that good. So you never really know, because it's similar to what Chelsea did with De Bruyne and Salah. Down the line, you regret it because these are young players that you should have kept, but you never know. It's one of those things where because the way the system is, you can't just hold on to young players. You can't just loan them out because you only have a limited amount of loans. Financials, you have to kind of sell players, and it comes to the point where it's the recruitment that's the biggest issue for City rather than the manager
right.
itself. And I think they haven't recruited well. They don't have a replacement for Rodri, and they
No, they don't.
allowed for a Rodri injury to derail the whole season, which isn't good enough for me. So in January they need to spend big. In summer they need to spend big, and I think City will be back, but I don't think they'll ever be the same like they were a couple seasons ago.
I don't think they'll win the Premier League this year. I think for me it's I think Arsenal, if Arsenal can go on a good run of games right now, because obviously they've got their players back, they've got Odegaard back, they're playing the best football I think I've seen from them all season, especially yesterday against West Ham. I thought when they have all their players back fit, they look insane. Yes, we could talk about Man City having injuries to Rodri and stuff like that, but it's still no excuse because you've got Pep. People claim Pep to be one of the greatest managers of all time. Prove it. You've not won a game in 7, right? You need to sort something out. You're now 11 points off of Liverpool. What's the solution? What's the solution?
Yeah,
Like,
I think the solution is I don't want to interrupt.
They lost this in 7 games, by the way, and they drew 1 game out in that 7. Crazy.
Yeah, like we said before, tucked in.
Sorry. 3-0 up, 5-0, 3-3.
Insane. No, I just think again, I don't have any issues or worries with Manchester City as a football club. It's more of an issue with this regime. That should be very encouraging for City fans.
I mean, you were featured on Manchester City's Instagram.
I have to be very careful, yeah, because when I was at City, when I was at City Football Academy, and then when I was with the staff and getting to know the people there from the business level to a sporting level, one common thing was they all were unified on a philosophy, principles, and a vision. And again, a lot of that vision is down to prioritizing system and structure over superstars. So City just have to recalibrate that. They have to go back to their own identity and philosophy, and things will work out right. Like King said, maybe it is also they find Pep's rhetoric or even just style of play a little bit redundant, and the squad isn't as good as it used to be. But whatever it is, again, City just have to reestablish themselves because they have such an advantage financially, and also when it comes to facilities, structure, and even staff. So I'm not worried for City necessarily. I don't think they have to reinvent themselves as a football club. Just this regime has to reassess themselves and find their roots back. And eventually, in time, they will be back to challenging and winning league titles again. No doubt whatsoever. So, yeah, again, I think the issue is not with Man City as a club. Unlike Man United, that stems to a boardroom level, or a Tottenham, or even an Arsenal, you can make the case. With City, it's just, again, it's this regime, this group of players, and even the manager to an extent and his backroom staff. But when you just reestablish yourself as Manchester City, the club we know it to be the best club in England and the best club in world football, I see no problem for them in the future. This is just a dip, not permanent.
Before we close out, I just want to say my thoughts and prayers are out with Fiorentina's player right now, Eduardo Bove, who apparently suffered. He's under sedation right now, hospitalized in intensive care. I don't know what exactly happened on the pitch, so somebody in the chat can you guys correct me if you can, please, because it would be really helpful. But apparently he was brought to the hospital by ambulance during the game, but during the Fiorentina vs Inter game, that game has now been postponed. That game has now been suspended. So he's gone to hospital, and now and the game's been kind of called off. I don't know exactly happened. I presume, and I don't want to disrespectfully say the wrong type of incident, but might be a cardiac arrest. I'm not sure exactly what happened, but my thoughts and prayers are still with him, and I hope he gets well soon, because you don't want to see footballers go down like this as well. You don't want to see them, in intensive care, and you don't want to see them rush. You don't want to see games get called off because footballers have such incidents and stuff like that. And obviously you don't want these. It's a scary moment for a lot of people. Like even if you have no connection to him, still it's a very, very scary moment. Like no one should have to go through this, and I really feel for him, and hopefully if he does pull through, make a speedy recovery, and all the best. And my thoughts and prayers are with him and his family at this very tough time indeed.
Touche.
Yeah.
Because you always want everyone to make a full recovery after all this. Christian Eriksen made it as well. Very, very luckily he did, and hopefully he pulls through as well, because I don't want to see anyone. I don't want to see anyone in situations like this, man. Real talk, man. Get well soon, man. Prayers up. But yeah, people are gonna wrap it up here on a very serious note indeed, because it's been a good talk, but at the same time, we have to give, we have to put everything to the side for a certain for a certain incident that happened. And I apologize for stuttering, because I'm very, very unsure of what's going on here. I'm very, very unsure of the situation. I assume, and I don't want to disrespectfully say anything wrong, but apparently it might be a cardiac arrest. But yeah, we all have to take things on a serious note, and close out in a very respectful way. Thank you guys for hopping on the show today and discussing F1. It's been a very, very dramatic day. It's been a very, very interesting day of football results. But obviously, with the player himself going down, we're all on the same side. You're all on the same page. Hopefully, it makes a speedy recovery. Gustia, I'll go to you first.
No, I completely agree. Eventually, we have to remember, yes, we are sport fans. We love sport. We revere our teams. But life and humanity comes before football and any sport. So we are all behind anybody that is injured or ill, because your health is wealth, and your health is the utmost priority. So we are completely behind you. And as Ekevin said, I completely agree with him. We hope you have a very speedy recovery and come back to full strength and can play again.
King?
Yeah, same. Kind wishes to his family and friends, and yeah, it's just a somber note after a great weekend of sports for something like that to happen, to bring you down to reality. But it was a good episode. I hope the best for him, and yeah, hoping for a speedy recovery. And it was great chatting about Formula One and football.
100%. The football thing, I just wanted to get a bit off my chest, because I will do more review tomorrow, so people make sure you tune into that, because tomorrow I will be doing the football. I will be doing Premier League preview and Premier League review, so combined stream, because Premier League game week 14 starts the day after I finish the stream. So the day after I finish the preview tomorrow, the Premier League begins on the Tuesday night. So I will be doing the preview tomorrow as well. You guys got anything coming up? Obviously, King. Actually, I will see you. I might see you tomorrow for the NBA talk. Yeah, tomorrow at 9 p.m. UK time, if you're free.
Yeah, I'll be free for that. Yeah, I'll be on this channel for more videos, Formula One, NBA.
Tomorrow we'll definitely talk about NBA. We'll do our weekly NBA shows, and obviously Premier League previews, Premier League reviews, Champions League talk will definitely be coming to the channel soon. Make sure you guys tune into that. Some news updates. I will try and get that during some football breaks. So make sure you guys tune into that. Obviously, I'm reaching 100 subs before the end of the year. Closing in on 100 subs before the end of the year. Please make sure you subscribe, because real talk, I would love to get to 100 subs before the end of the year. It's been a really good year, very, very good year of talking sports, of of many events. And the year is coming fast coming to an end. Time's flying, time's ticking. So please make sure you obviously keep it respectful in the chat when you're commenting. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Gusty, you got anything coming up, bro? Other than the F1 preview next week, are we doing something?
No, we'll just keep our eye on everything that happens in the world of sport and the world in general. So yeah, see you guys next weekend.
Would you be free to hop on for the NBA show tomorrow?
I will let you know, but I would of course be down to join NBA, football, or any other sport you want me to.
All right, that's fine, man. And obviously, yeah, King, we're doing our NBA show tomorrow, so I'll see you tomorrow. I'll see you tomorrow for that. And thank you for watching, people. Thank you for tuning in. Make sure you like, share, subscribe. Prayers up to I'm so sorry, I completely forgot his name, and I don't mean to forget his name because I've just Eduardo Bobe. Prayers up to Eduardo Bobe and all the good stuff. Take care. Peace. Forza Ferrari.